the Euros have realized just how rich America is. Like, America is so prosperous, right? And you go down to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and people are fucking prospering, right? And we all sit around and talk about how poor we are all the time and how we're not, dollar doesn't go as far as it used to, right? All that kind of shit. But when you go over to Europe, man, they are desperately poor. They're so much poorer than you think they are. There's this chicken shop in the UK everybody likes called Nando's, and it's like, all the drill rappers
The
talk
cheeky
about it.
Nando's.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna go to Nando's because I heard all the drill rappers talk about it. And I told a bunch of people I was going to Nando's. I'm like, I'm going to Nando's, and they're like, "Oh, Mike, be expensive, isn't it?" And I was like, "Is it?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's expensive as hell." And I got over there, I order a bunch of shit, just whatever I want. I'm like, I'll take this, I'll take that, fucking one of those, give me some sauce. And the lady's like, it'll be 22 pounds, and I was like, okay, so just like a normal amount of money for lunch then? Like, why did everyone tell me it was so expensive? It's because they're poor. They're legit. And like, I feel bad for them. Like, they shouldn't be poor. They're not poor because of a moral failing. They're poor because their government has stepped on their fucking necks and has overregulated them and has not allowed them to prosper. That's why they're poor. And we're going to become like them the more we do socialism. I also, when I'm over in Europe, I have this like thought where I'm just like, am I looking into a future of America? Is this America's future? Everything's in decay and everybody's poor and they're like, just sort of like medicating their pain away and everything's a little like violent and sketchy. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. All I know, it ain't like they told you about America, y'all. Okay?
I don't know. This is why it's great to stream this on Noster, because I'm not sure what YouTube's policy on the right to carry and bear arms is, but we're about to find out later.
This is not a real gun. Okay, it's a
toy, thank goodness.
Toy
okay,
gun.
It's a replica
Gun toy.
Yeah,
perfect.
I have many replica guns as
empty.
well.
It's empty.
See, there we go.
There's no mag in it. It's fake.
If the algorithmic overlords are hearing this and reading this transcript right now, just know that this was all just a funny joke. This was actually, American Hodl identifies as an unloaded gun, so this is part of his self-expression. Right. Actually, he's trans firearm or something. I don't know.
Well, and so like, what's this whole thing that like we have to, like, you're not doing anything illegal, but like we know it'll get us banned from pretty much every platform. And so like there's already this extraordinary degree of censorship that's going on. Like we can't even speak unspeakable things, even though like we could utter whatever racist and derogatory terms that we would want to here. It would be a bit lowbrow, but it would maybe prove the point. But it's more of that, like, what's happened with this policing of language, with this persecution of thought, and like how much has that drift into this particular subset of a reality been part of that programming and controlling that's really part of a spiritual suffering? And like it's probably the most profound and deep thing that I think everyone feels and understands. And like it's truly the deepest suffering that I think there is, and I think that all people today probably share. But I think it's much more the youth, because like the totalizing foreclosure on the future. Like there was some podcast recently, like Danny Knowles posted a clip, I think it was Danny who posted it, of these guys talking about how like give up on trying to like own a home. Like, why would you want to do that? And like I don't know, it's just so profoundly sad. It's like you're a serf again. Like you don't even own your fucking land. And like what can you ever build or develop for yourself? Like how do you ever really integrate into a community when like you're always can be kicked off the land at any point in time, and like you can't upgrade your shitty faucet because you don't actually own it. Why even plant a fruit tree? Like you won't be there to actually bear the fruit of it. And it's like there's this sort of hatefulness that's baked itself into the totalizing defeat of like, why even believe in God? Like what could you get from that other than more suffering? And it's like, I understand you, homie, but like, fuck, man. Like I'm sorry it's so dark out there for you. And I get it for most people. Like they don't they don't see the radical empowerment that they could get from something like Bitcoin or like AI, or like how it opens up these new frontiers and possibilities that, you know, can deliver their wildest dreams and then some. But they can't even look at it because they're so defeated, you know. And that's part of what has people hand themselves over to communism. And like I'll never be special and unique, so might as well put myself in with the sludge. At least like I'll get my little piece. Like I'll at least get to have some tiny little 1 bedroom block within a Soviet tower in New York, right? Like that's better than what I've been offered by this current paradigm.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's fucking sad.
this is the problem. This is my Carla's dad, my father-in-law. He was a defector from communism. Like got, you know, back in those days, like you got polygraphed by the FBI for a couple weeks when you were a communist defector, because they were like, okay, defector, wink, wink.
Right.
Like we used to have a little healthy skepticism about these things, but it tells me like this was the fundamental problem. I mean, one of the many fundamental problems with communism, though, is when you do not have private property, when you do not have ownership of anything, when all ownership is collective, nobody is incentivized to actually make things better. You make things better because you own them. When you, to your point, Cason, like you're never going to plant a fruit tree in a rented, you know, a rented yard, right? You're going to plant a fruit tree when you own it, when your children can sit under the shade of that tree and eat from its fruit. Like that's when you will plant a fruit tree, because you know it is yours. And even if you rent it from the government, right? Even if the government, if you don't pay your taxes, they'll come and they'll take it from you with they'll bring a SWAT team if you don't pay the government long enough. But this is the fundamental problem. This is why everything in communism disintegrates. This is why everything in communism falls into disrepair, is because there is no incentive for people to take care of collective property. There maybe in small enough groups, maybe underneath Dunbar's number, right? Maybe, yes, that, like, not denying that, but we're talking about communes, not communism, right? And so as soon as you have things that are just, everyone owns it. Well, then it's like, okay, well, then I'm going to take a shit over there,
Yeah.
you know, and like everything falls into disrepair, everything disintegrates. As a society, you need private property in order for people to be incentivized to improve what they own. Otherwise, they will not do it.
There was this.
I can't help but think of where we started in the beginning, talking about like the love for everybody, and like the same thing. Like, how can you really love anyone if you're loving everyone?
You can't. It's like there was this discourse on X took place I don't know, maybe a year ago, where there were these articles that were written that said, you know, black neighborhoods don't have shade and it's racist because they don't have trees, they don't have shade, everything's a little hotter, makes people a little angrier, increases violence, whatever. It's racism that's doing this. And the response from people was like, okay, well, just go plant trees. Like, fucking, if black people want trees in these neighborhoods, plant trees. And black people were like, how are we supposed to plant trees when we don't own the neighborhood, right? And it's like, okay, it's actually a compelling point, because if you are a renter, you're not going to plant a tree, but you could. How much does a tree cost? Just go plant a fucking tree, you know? Especially if you live in a place where shit grows. Like, look at where Erik is. You can just throw seeds in Erik's backyard and shit'll just fucking grow, right? So if you're in one of those places, just toss some seeds around. The cost of it is zero. So I don't understand where the thinking comes from that, like, you can't have shade if you want shade. But it is actually an interesting metaphor, the shade of a tree, because, you know, it's like, okay, as an individual, if you want to have a good life, you have to delay gratification, and you have to, like, you know, the tree is a metaphor. You plant the tree when you're young, you sit under its shade when you're old, you give it to your descendants, you pass it on, and societies grow great when men plant trees under whose shade they'll never sit. So you have a tragedy of the commons, right? And you decide, I'm going to get over the tragedy of the commons by giving to others. I'm going to be Johnny fucking Appleseed. I'm going around throwing apple seeds all over the fucking place. That was a real guy who did that in America.
Real person.
And he was just like, I'm Johnny fucking Appleseeds. I'm throwing apple seeds, right? And he just took it upon
undiagnosed autism also.
He definitely was autistic. But he took it upon himself to be Johnny fucking Appleseed and just throw apple seeds everywhere. And, you know, he's a legend now in American folklore because of that behavior. And there are actual apple trees that you can trace to this guy, right? So, I mean, that's just a great example. And I think there's like this thing Erik was talking about, like the parasitic, you know, elite class, right? The elite class didn't used to be parasitic. I mean, they to be obscenely wealthy. They used to be rich beyond all measure. But they did give back. Carnegie and Rockefeller, and you can question the method in which they gave back and say it wasn't appropriate, the Vanderbilts, but they did give back, and they felt like, that was that part of their like sort of credo, because they were Christian men, most of them. I mean, like Rockefeller was a devout Baptist, right, for instance, and they felt that it was their ethic to help others and help the commons in general to bring people up. And now it seems like we live in this world where all the billionaires build bunkers to get away from people, you know and if they do give $100 million to this or that, where does it go? It goes poof, basically. Like, you never actually see it. Whereas you can go into a Carnegie library in the Midwest in a small town today, and they're still
We had
there.
one.
Right. And
Yep.
they're amazing little local libraries that have acted as a lifeblood for these towns for 100 years now. That's a great legacy. So people are like, Carnegie was a piece of shit. I don't care. He built libraries, dude. Fuck you. Right. But if you're like, Mark Zuckerberg's a piece of shit, I'm going to be like, yeah, he is. Fuck him.
Like, what the thing that I struggle to understand is, like, how the fuck has San Francisco produced so many billionaires, and not one of those assholes has just been like, you know what, I'm going to renovate the Sutro Baths, one of the most incredible fucking landmarks that San Francisco has. It's like, I just don't get it. Like, the amount of good that they would do for their reputation is insane, and it's just like, I don't know. Anyways, if I'm a billionaire, that's my first major project.
We're actually actively hostile to charity too, right? Like, the DEI era showed that, like, it actually doesn't matter how much good you did. If you did one wrong thing in the past, Erik said the N word on a podcast, take his name off the building, right? It destroys charity. It destroys it because, like, and also, if you live in California, why the fuck should you do charity? You pay 60% of your income to the government. They should be fucking doing the charity, but they don't. They just pocket all the money. So,
yeah,
again, these communists, these are all feedback loops, and they're negative feedback loops. That's why the systems don't work.